welcome to the family meeting.
Hey.
Glad to have you with us today. We are currently separated. Me and you are separated.
We are. Yep.
I am in Iowa and Thomas is in Florida today. So we are pre-recording this for next week. I'm heading to Iowa. Thomas has to stay back to work. And I guarantee right now, in this moment, I am desperately sad, missing you, crying myself to sleep.
I doubt it because you literally just left today, so you're probably not sad.
I don't know. I miss you pretty bad, babe.
You do not.
Anyway,
you don't even care.
Yeah, I do care. But we're glad that you're with us today. I want to hear from you. What is the longest you've ever been apart from your spouse? Our longest that we've been apart was 16 days, right?
16 days, yep.
I was a wreck. I
Yeah.
was an absolute wreck. You were a wreck.
You left for vacation up family Minnesota, and then while you were gone, almost going to be coming home, I left on a missions trip.
Yes. And so we missed each other. And both of us were like, we will never do this again. And we haven't since.
Nope.
But I'm curious, how long is the longest you've been apart? Some people, like, you think about military families.
Yeah, we're like 6 months a year or
Yeah.
more.
Oh, my goodness. I don't know how you guys do that, but it is very special and a beautiful sacrifice that you do that. Some people, it's business trips and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious, like, what's the longest? And then there are some people who, like, they're like, we got married and we've never been a day apart,
Yeah.
which is funny. But
Which, that's crazy to me.
yeah,
Think
I
about
know,
it. Yeah.
I know, right? Which this is why it's so tough for us to be apart, is because we lead Beachside Community Church together.
Yeah.
We paint together. We do family meeting together. We speak at marriage conferences together. We write books together.
Yeah.
Like, all aspects of our lives are done together in unison. Of course, we have days where, like, he stays home and works on church stuff while I go paint a smaller job or whatever. Like, all that kind of stuff does come into play. But we pretty much move together in every direction.
Yep.
And so it's really very, it's a very deep, real change when we are not together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
It doesn't feel right.
yeah, it doesn't.
So this is going to be, I'm going to go up mid-trip at some point to see my mom and visit Lysandra and all that.
And that'll break up our time apart. So that,
it's not a full, like, 17 days or whatever.
yeah. Could
Yeah.
not handle it.
So.
Yeah. So today we are going to be talking about, you're not going to believe it, family meetings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're going to talk about family meetings on the family meeting.
Nice. What about it?
We are talking about how, like, why is it that so many family meetings end in anger or tears?
Yeah.
And it's true, they really do. They're, like, very high emotionally.
There's times where I'm just like, what happened?
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
how did this happen? Because
Yes.
everything seemed fine, and then all of a sudden it's like, boom, boom, boom.
Or everybody's mad and nobody wants to talk to each other or look at each other. It's
Yeah.
so weird.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about that today.
Okay.
All right.
Is that all the business we got to cover to get started?
I think so. I think it is time to start the recording.
Couple episodes away from 300, which will have all 6 of us on and have an actual family meeting. No tears. Well, yeah.
I did cry.
She did. She did
I
cry.
absolutely
Yeah,
cried.
That's right. You
Yes.
did cry.
Yes.
But mostly just kind of laughter and that kind of stuff. But
Yeah, because we're at 297 today.
Yep.
So we are...
300 is coming, and
Mm-hmm.
then 301, there's going to be a little shift in the podcast, but
which I'm excited and I'm very nervous about.
Yeah.
I don't like change, as everybody knows.
you do not. But we are getting ready to cross that milestone of 300. I need to look up and see exactly what percentage of podcasts make it to 300.
I would like to hear that number because I know how hard it has been to keep going sometimes.
Yeah.
And therefore, I understand why many people give up early on.
Well, and it's like, okay, you're getting ready to leave town for nearly 3 weeks. So we are recording like 5 podcasts in a week and a half.
Yes.
And of course, it's long form, so it's an hour-ish.
Yep. It's a huge commitment. Like, it's a huge time commitment, but
Yeah.
it's also like, it's a content creation commitment where it's like, what are we going to talk about? We need to talk about something. Like,
Yeah.
you feel like you've covered every topic, which in a way we have.
Yeah.
But we've covered things from different angles and, and new things come up through conversations with people.
But we recorded 2 podcasts yesterday at almost 3 hours of recording. So
We're up early to do it today because we have to go to work. Like, we have real lives.
So it's challenging to get to 300, but it's exciting. We love what we're doing. We love all the people we're meeting and all the connections we're making. We love the community that you have made it by coming along this journey with us. So thank you.
Yes.
We're excited for this. So, okay, for
All right.
today, 297. Gather round, everybody. It's time for a family meeting. The Family Meeting is a show that's all about family relationships. We're the Osterkamps. I'm Thomas. This is my amazing wife, Lysandra.
Hello and welcome to our family. Welcome to episode 297 of the Family Meeting podcast. On today's episode, we're going to discuss why many family meetings end in tears and or anger.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were just telling our YouTube viewers before we started the episode, we were just talking about how so often we have to come up with more content all the time. And oftentimes our content comes from conversations we have with friends or people at conferences that maybe we've just met. And this episode today came out of a conversation that we had with a very good friend.
Yeah.
And listener of the podcast.
Yep.
I feel like we can do a shout out, can't we?
Oh, totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you ready with the sound effect? Adrian Macaulay.
Wah, wah, wah.
No! Shame on you. Adrian, please forgive us. That is not the sound effect I wanted. I wanted you to do your me, me, me. Did I do that right? That kind of sounded like a car, like a little cartoon
She's
car
like,
horn.
Me, me, me. But you're like Roadrunner.
Roadrunner.
Me, me.
No, I was trying to do the laser gun thing.
Laser gun.
I
What are you
don't
talking
know.
about? Just
move on.
Yeah.
Okay, so we were talking with
leave
Adrian.
the sound effects to us professionals.
Yes. And
You're talking to who?
Adrian.
Wah, wah, wah.
No, stop. It is a good thing she has a good sense of humor because you're so mean.
She does. She's actually one of my favorite people in the world. We connect in a lot of ways, but
Which
yeah.
is negative. That is actually the one thing about her that's negative is that you and her connect in certain ways.
Yeah.
Evil, wicked.
She is hilarious.
Okay, so the conversation went like this. She's talking about how her and her family do family meetings and how so often everybody gets angry or kids end up crying or mom ends up crying or whatever. I doubt dad ever ends up crying. And she's like, is that normal? And we're like, oh, absolutely. It's like every time we have a family meeting, we end up with multiple girls crying or angry.
Yeah.
Not every time.
No,
Not every time.
sometimes,
Often.
yeah.
I feel like almost often. And so we were like, that's totally normal. And I'm like, this is going to become a podcast episode because if our family is having this, her family's having this, most families probably are, but there's a good chance that families are thinking like, this isn't normal. My family's messed up because family meetings are moving in this direction to like tears and anger, high emotions. And what we want to share with you today is it is normal. We're going to explain why, and we're going to talk about ways that we can try to prevent it a little bit. Like, obviously, it's got to be raw emotionally or else it's not real.
Right. If you're having open, honest, real conversations, you're talking about real stuff, dealing with issues, it's going to happen.
Absolutely. So even though it's going to happen, like, how can we make it as profitable as possible?
Yeah.
Because I do think that there's kind of, you can swing the pendulum the other way where it's like, yeah, everybody's all emotional. We're just going to, lean into that. And then you never really resolve anything or make progress because it's just like always everybody like leaves screaming or crying and nothing ever is resolved. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But first, we're excited to tell you about marriage conference coming up at Mountain View Baptist Church in Las Cruces, New Mexico. We want to invite all of our friends and listeners on the West Coast to join us for a great time together. That'll be September 11th through 13th. We're going to be with our newfound friends, Caleb and Joy Worley. at Mountain View Baptist Church, Las Cruces, New Mexico.
I'm so excited.
As soon as we can, we will put the info out on social media to make sure that you can get registered and have all the information that you need. But we're making a little trip out to the West Coast, and that's going to be just after our oldest daughter gets married, after all the excitement, the celebration, the mourning.
Sorrow.
The mourning on our part of first daughter leaving the house. We're going to head out to the conference early, but we're going to stop in Sedona, Arizona for our anniversary is beginning of August, but with the wedding stuff happening.
We're skipping it.
We're going to celebrate a month later. So we're going to do some hiking out there in Sedona, which we have been talking about for years.
Years and years. Because, like, we've seen pictures of the areas around Sedona. And Tom, for those of you who've listened to the podcast for any amount of time, you know how much we love hiking and being outdoors in nature and everything. And that has been on the bucket list. But when we did our 2 West Coast vacations, one was more southwest, one was more northwest. Neither of those, though, did we hit Sedona specifically in that area. And so we've always wanted to just go and, like, be there for a little while. And so this kind of created the opportunity where, like, okay, we're already in the area. Let's take advantage of this. Our daughter just got married. We are an emotional wreck.
Yeah.
Like, let's go and do some healing in the mountains and hiking and sunshine and all of those things. So I am very excited about that, but I'm also really excited to spend time with the Worleys and get to know their people and just get to share about marriage and Jesus and everything. It's going to be great.
So I reserved an Airbnb outside of Sedona because it's cheaper outside, 20, 30 minutes outside. And it's got a pool and stuff. We'll go hiking during the day, and then we'll come back late afternoon, evening, kind of chill out at the pool, rest a little bit, relax, just have a good time.
Yep. And we'll get our groceries and cook in the kitchen of the Airbnb. So it's like, it's just the way we love to vacation.
Yep.
It's
So
going to be perfect.
Looking forward to that. That's going to be September 11th through 13th, Las Cruces, New Mexico. Make your plans to be with us.
Thomas, why do so many family conversations start with good intentions but end in frustration, tears, and conflict?
Because there's women involved.
Ah, yes. The fatal flaw, woman.
Which I'm just joking because I know, like, especially boys as, you know, kids and even as teenagers can be very, very emotional.
You know, that was something one of our friends told us.
I was actually a little surprised about that, but it makes sense.
Yeah. And we don't have any boys. We have 4 daughters, and they're all close
we have
together.
one boy.
We have Coconut,
He's
our
not,
little buddy.
He's not very emotional. He gets happy, and that's about it.
He gets sad when we leave.
He does get sad when we leave, yeah.
Yeah, he does not like it when we go traveling. So everyone that we have gone to speak at your conferences know that Coconut is making a great sacrifice.
Well, and it's funny because, like, if people are getting emotional in the house, he is, like, looking around at all of us trying to figure out, like, what's going on. Why is everyone upset?
He's anxious.
Yeah, he doesn't know what's going on. But.
So he does have emotions. But we don't have boys except for Coconut. We will soon have a son-in-law. But raising boys, as far as like the fact that they can be emotional, we heard that from friends who have boys.
Yep.
Just that they can be as emotional as girls, or like they basically said you wouldn't believe how emotional boys are. We're like, oh, okay. I think they handle their emotions a lot of times differently.
Sure.
But they do, like family meetings end a lot of times. Well, and I don't think that I want to say end. I think I want to say family meetings often end up in frustration and tears, but they can end positively, right? So
they shouldn't. I mean, they shouldn't end with the tears.
Yeah.
You need to bring resolution around. But.
Exactly. It would be good if by the end of every one of your family meetings, you could, have the calm, the peace back into your homes.
You saw it, didn't you?
I did.
Our famous slug is back, crawling around the window. This is why I have to turn the entire set and change it up at 300.
I saw the slug and I lost my train of thought. I'm not kidding.
I saw you glance over at it.
Okay, so we need to name him. I feel like he's a boy. What should we name him?
It's got to be like Stefan or something like that.
No, see, I was going to be less creative and be like Sluggy.
What? No.
Or like, hey, Slugger.
No.
You know, baseball, but also a slug.
No.
No. Okay. Okay.
All right, so.
We cannot let this episode go off the rails like the last time we had a slug on our window.
It's you. You're like, instead of squirrel, it's literally slug.
I know. I am working. Okay. So.
I need to get you like horse blinders where it's like you can only see the notes and that's it.
Yes.
Can't look around, can't see anything else.
That would be wise.
This is why I have to change things up though.
I know.
After
I don't want
300.
to change. I don't like change.
I'm going to make sure that you're put in a chair that's facing this other way so you can't even see what's going on that direction.
I know. I just love looking out our window while we do our podcast. We have a really beautiful backyard and it's just lovely to look out.
I mean, it was a lot more beautiful before our neighbor cut down a lot of their plants and trees, but
they had to. I think they died.
yeah, I don't think they did. I think they just thinned it out.
Oh, anyway. Okay. So what we're going to do is unpack why family meetings often become emotionally charged and how we as parents can create a healthier, calmer, and more productive conversation in our homes. But here's the thing. We are not trying to tell you that your family meetings should not be emotionally charged. They have to be or they're not real. What we are trying to tell you is let's get past that and get through it in every single meeting. So it's not like we end where everybody leaves the meeting upset with anxiety, no peace in the home, right? So it is okay that it goes that direction, but how can you bring it back around? Also understanding like how can we at least try to help a little bit with, it not getting completely out of control.
Yeah. Well, and the point of family meetings are to connect with each other. Some of that's just about day-to-day stuff, logistical things, what happened yesterday. But a lot of it is working through just the situations in our life, whether that's something that happened to me personally or it's something going on between family members or just overall affecting our family. And so you're dealing with real stuff. There's going to be emotions. There's going to be crying. Sometimes there's anger, anxiety, frustration, or whatever else, it's normal to have those kind of feelings. Yeah, go ahead.
I feel like I could say this with confidence. If your family meetings never have tears or anger or anything like that, then probably they're very shallow and your family is not deeply connected.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah. So what we want to do is kind of help you create emotional safety and a structure to prevent conversation from always quickly turning defensive, overwhelming, or hurtful. We've got to learn how to deal with things without doing more damage than we need to.
Yeah, right. So we do know that family meetings turn emotional, but why is this so normal? Family meetings often begin with great intentions. Like, okay, we're going to connect. We're going to solve this problem we're having. We're going to help our family member through this issue. We want to improve our communication. We're going to coordinate schedules. And yet, as you start to do all these things, they can escalate emotionally because families are emotionally intertwined in ways that no other group is intertwined.
Yeah.
Like you might be really close to your coworkers. You may be really close to your church family, but it is still not the same as your nuclear family at home. It just isn't. Old patterns, unmet needs, personal history, all of these are already present before the conversation even starts. So it is natural and reasonable that your family meetings would become emotionally charged.
So let's talk about why escalation often happens. So one of the things that happens is people arrive carrying unresolved emotions.
This is so true in our family. So we have, from the beginning, we have worked so hard, you guys, so hard to teach our girls to do conflict resolution, to talk things through, and everything. And yet we still will have our girls be like, I'm not going to tell her that it upset me because it won't do any good anyway. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Have you learned nothing? And then sometimes we have to like force them. No, you're going to talk to her about it because we can literally feel, it is a physical feeling, the tension in this room.
And we just had this a couple days ago. Where it was one of the girls had an issue with one of the other girls, and we basically were like, listen, we're not leaving here until you talk to her about what you need to talk to her about and resolve the issue.
Well, and this was kind of funny because this is the practical side to that. I was texting the one daughter in the family meeting. Like, what is that called? A
Sidebar.
And I was like, what time do you have to be at work? Because I had to know, like, do we have time to chase this thing down?
Yeah.
Because I knew that it had to be done, but I also knew, like, we don't want to start talking about this. Everybody's crying, and it's like, oh, I have to be to work in 10 minutes. So first I found out, like, when she had to work. I asked the other daughter, I'm like, when do you have to work? And I'm like, okay, everybody has an hour right now. This is it. We're doing this. And so that's when we were like, okay, nobody leaves this room until we talk about this.
Yeah.
But,
and so she talked about it, seemingly worked it out, and then the one daughter, she was gonna leave and go upstairs, and I'm like, where are you going? Like, we're still all here, and if this is not an issue any longer, why are you trying to leave?
Yep.
So had her come back and stay in the situation. Like, don't leave when things get uncomfortable. Just literally work through it all.
But all that happened because they had already had issues from the past that they hadn't resolved.
Yeah.
It was like they already were emotional about this same thing in a different way.
Yeah.
And so that comes into your family meetings, and like the only way to get that out is to go through it. And so understanding that, yeah, like everybody's arriving to the family meeting carrying unresolved emotions.
Well, and the thing is, like, a discussion about chores or curfews may actually touch on deeper feelings.
Okay.
You know, like, it's not necessarily about that specific thing. It's about things like, I don't feel respected. No one listens to me. I carry too much responsibility. I'm afraid of losing connection. And this is one of those things that we've kind of have to understand. Because families share long histories, current disagreements easily activate past hurts. And so it's like, yes, we've talked about this and we're trying to work through it. But that doesn't mean we're necessarily healed up from the thing that has happened or totally over it yet. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Another reason that your family meetings are going to escalate is because family roles sometimes become very rigid. And it's like we can unconsciously step into familiar roles in the family. And we talked a little bit about secret contracts last week, and that's kind of a similar thing, what we're talking about in this point.
Yeah.
But in a little bit of a different way. So like sometimes it's like, okay, this family member is the one who fixes things. This is the one who is the peacemaker. This is the one who will always defer to everyone else so I can walk all over them. This one's always the critic. This one's always the responsible one. This one's the rebel. This one's the quiet one. This one's the loud one, so on and so forth. And once those patterns activate, people react to the role rather than the issue being discussed. And it's like that family member kind of has that reputation. And this is what we saw in our family, like literally last week, is it was like, well, they never listen anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, that may be the reputation that sister has earned, but it doesn't matter if that's the reputation. You got to talk to them anyway. Like, we're going to deal with this appropriately, properly. We're gonna work through this.
Well, and another side of that is there can be frustration because why do I always have to be the fixer or the peacemaker?
Exactly.
Why do I always have to fall into this particular thing?
Yeah.
And so that you have that frustration as well that comes up.
Yeah, because I've definitely been like to Thomas, why do I always have to be the bad guy?
Well, I mean, you're good at it, so why change the situation here?
But there are times when I don't want to be the bad guy, so I'll text Thomas and be like, deal with her.
Yeah.
And I know the kids know I do that.
And I'm like, come here, baby. Daddy's got you,
Yeah.
Mom. You know how your mommy is.
Yeah, right. You better not.
The third issue is people listen defensively instead of reflectively.
We see this all the time.
So this is one of those things that happens in emotionally charged conversation is you have family members who are preparing rebuttals while somebody else is speaking. So instead of actually listening to them and comprehending, understanding what they're trying to tell you or the point they're trying to get across, you're figuring out how you want to respond to the initial charge or, whatever.
Complaint. Yeah.
Sometimes we interpret correction as rejection. So it's like if there's a certain issue that's happening and I'm trying to correct it or someone's trying to correct me, instead of trying to understand what's happening, I'm here seeing that as a rejection of me and who I am. You may hear accusations where concern was intended, where it's just like, there is a concern about the choice that you've made or this pattern that I see happening. And let's just get it corrected and think about where this, these steps are taking you. These choices are taking you down this direction. And so is that really what you want to happen? Is that really where you want to go? And instead of like seeing the big picture, I just feel like you're attacking me. You're accusing me of X, Y, or Z. And so then you have a shift that happens in the conversation when you kind of listen defensively instead of reflectively, is now you're shifting from understanding to self-protection. And I'm trying to defend myself, I'm trying to protect myself instead of really trying to understand the point you're trying to make and the heart that you're trying to get across.
That's right. Another thing is timing can be very poor. You've got to think about the timing for these things. Now we have an ongoing family meeting time. Like it's 7 a.m. coffee time. And we all gather in the living room, anyone who can, right? So like our daughters that work until midnight and close Dunkin' Donuts every night, we don't expect them to be up at 7 having this coherent conversation.
So like we had coffee time this morning, and it was just Catherine and Violet, so the oldest and the youngest with us.
Because of their work schedules. It's different than the other two because the other two were out very late last night. So so that's our family meeting. It's like 7 a.m. And there are times when those meetings are very like shallow. It's just like, what are you doing today? How was work last night? Da, da, da.
Yep.
Because we know like they're about to head off to work. The next thing that they have is in 20 minutes and they're going to go see other people. They have to be, handling their jobs. We are not going to bring up some major issue in the house. Right.
Or they've had a really long night. They've worked till midnight. They've been up till 2 a.m. and are not really in a good state of mind to have a really deep, serious conversation.
Yes, for sure. So the things that you want to think about for your timing of your family meetings are how tired is everybody? Are people hungry?
Yeah.
There are times when we'll have a family
Hangry.
meeting. Yeah. We'll have a family meeting. We'll be like, okay, we're bringing fruit. Like, there's going to be fruit here.
Like, you need a Snickers.
Yeah.
Because you're not yourself.
Just our last family meeting, we literally had 2 plates of fruit. We had raspberries, blueberries, cherries, and strawberries, fresh. And like everybody's snacking on these because we're having like a real conversation today. Maybe everybody's overwhelmed or one family member is overwhelmed. Even if one family member is overwhelmed, you may want to think about how you handle your family meeting. It doesn't mean like, oh, anytime someone's overwhelmed, we can't talk about anything because
you may never deal with it.
Exactly.
We got 6 people in the house. There's a good chance one of them is going through something all the time.
Yeah, because stress comes from work. It comes from school. It comes from relationships.
From your wife.
Yes, it does. And so you've got to think about what's going on and how deep can this conversation get? How real can it get? Is this the right time?
Well, and anytime we talk about timing, it really makes me think of the book of Esther. And that whole situation, those of you that aren't familiar, I would encourage you just to go read through the book of Esther. Not very long, but she's getting ready to approach the king about a very serious matter, and she really prays and thinks about the right time to go have the conversation, prays over the words, and so it's one of those stories that we can learn a lot of principles when it comes to having difficult conversations. So timing is really important.
Yeah, it really is.
Another thing that can cause some problems is you have multiple issues getting stacked together.
Yeah.
And so you've got, this is what happens, whether it's a marriage relationship or we're talking about family relationships and dealing with issues. We always encourage people to take the rifle approach instead of the shotgun approach. So let's deal with one thing at a time. Let's have one target that we're trying to get and deal with that. But if you're stacking multiple issues together, you've got, one concern that quickly expands to other things. You forgot the dishes becomes you never help, then no one appreciates me in this family. And the original topic gets buried under accumulated frustration.
Yep. Another thing is that parents and children experience power differently. So parents may approach meetings wanting order in the family, order, organization in the home, or solutions to issues and mending relationships, while children or teenagers may experience the conversation as, okay, my parent is trying to control me, or it's always criticism, or they're trying to take away my independence, they don't trust me, or whatever. And so different expectations create emotional friction. You're coming at the meetings from a different power struggle. You're coming at it from different angles, and keeping that in mind, that's going to happen. You can't change that. Like that's how you both are. That's what is happening. So just understanding that kind of, I think, helps maybe comfort us as parents. Be like, okay, this is why my family meetings are always such crazy emotional outbursts, whatever. It's just nice to have a reason behind it and to know that you're normal.
Yeah. So another thing that causes issues is some families confused honesty with intensity. So you may have a family that you believe strong emotion proves sincerity, which is not always the case.
Right.
So you may have things like raised voices, interrupting, emotional flooding, dramatic language, and
extremes.
So it's like it's very intense, and because it's so intense, then that proves how sincere I am in this situation. But here's the issue with intensity. It usually reduces clarity instead of increasing it. So just because we're very intense doesn't mean we're honestly working through things.
And it may be that there's no agreed process for conflict. Like you don't have any structure into your family meetings, or you don't have structure about how to get through any kind of conflict. And if that's the case, then oftentimes conversations can drift into blame and sarcasm, or interrupting each other, maybe revisiting the old arguments and accusations, or competing monologues, and everybody's competing for a time to talk. But if you have a healthy family meeting, then what you're going to have is agreed upon communication rules. And we do have these in our family. Like our girls know you're not allowed to interrupt. If it happens and we catch it, which we try to pay attention to that, we'll be like, oh, whoa, your sister wasn't done.
Yeah.
Just a minute.
She's still talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, I'm trying to think of like what else are some of our rules, like name calling.
We'll get into rules in a second here.
Right. So we'll talk about that. But if you don't have structure for your family meetings, or just for conflict resolution in general in your family, and your kids are unaware of them, then it's going to dissolve your family meeting pretty quickly into something less productive.
So those are some things that can cause some issues in your family meetings, and why they may end up in certain outbursts of emotion. Let's just talk for a little bit about some ideas to help them stay constructive. We want our family meetings to accomplish something. There's nothing wrong with tears or getting angry or frustrated or whatever else, But they shouldn't end with that. Shouldn't leave with that. We need to learn how to work through situations and get to a place where we can have resolution.
And I want to say this too. Maybe you're in your family meetings, you're like, okay, I've been trying to do that. I've been trying really hard to like, okay, we're going to be real. We're going to be honest, authentic. And then my goal is always to bring it back around. But like a couple of times I run out of time and we have to get to work. We have to get to school. We have to whatever. And so it never got resolved. Then here's my encouragement to you. Make a note to yourself that you're going to come back to that thing at the next family meeting.
Yeah.
Don't just be like, well, it's a loss. No. Put that back on the docket. We've got to talk about this at the next one so that it can be resolved and so that people can have peace in their heart about whatever that discussion was.
Well, and you should literally end it with, I've got to go to work now, or you have to go to work now. Tomorrow morning at 7, let's pick up right back here, and let's work.
Yeah,
through
then
it.
Everybody like is kind of emotionally and mentally prepared to get back into it.
Right, and they know what's coming. We are going to deal with it. We are going to get to a place where there's closure, because if we can't right now, but most things can be worked through.
Yeah,
pretty
and
quickly.
I think the other thing that's good about telling your family that we're gonna finish talking about this is it's almost like light at the end of the tunnel for relief from whatever anxiety that conversation brought. It's like, I feel turmoil inside because of this thing we've talked about, but I know that it will be resolved. I know that at a certain time, like tomorrow or later this afternoon or whatever, I'm going to have the opportunity to talk through it and get resolution. And so that is going to bring me peace. It's going to bring me comfort. I'm going to be able to leave this thing in the past and move forward.
Yeah. So let's talk about these ideas to help them stay constructive. And okay. I think one of the a good idea here and good rule of thumb is to keep the meeting short when you know you're dealing with things that are pretty serious. Usually 20 to 30 minutes is often enough, depending on the age and maturity level of your kids and all of that. You start to drag meetings out, and that just increases emotional fatigue, which can create more problems in and of itself, and you're compounding problems. You need to make sure that you're giving your children the tools to be able to work through and resolve whatever the issue is. And so once we have those tools, then talking through it and working through it shouldn't take a really long time. The only reason it takes a long time is if you're not using good communication tools and conflict resolution tools. So if you're talking in circles, if you get to a point where you're nearly resolved and then you start the conversation over at the beginning.
Frustrating.
People aren't accepting apologies and they're not owning things. So once you get to a place where we understand how we ought to do this, then you start to learn how to deal with it a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
So if the meeting starts to stretch on and you just sense like, hey, we're not really getting anywhere, let's stop this meeting. Let's just take a break and we'll come back at it again. And once again, it's just like we talked about before. Hey, let's take a little while. Let's come back at later this afternoon or tomorrow morning. Let's pick this back up and from right here where we are and work through it tomorrow. And
understand that all these ideas we're going to give you can work for you with little children too. We oftentimes speak in terms of teenagers and young adults because that's what we're dealing with. But even if you have little ones and you're just trying to teach them how to share or how to be nice to one another or not to hit, or to be respectful or whatever it may be, you can bring these and implement these tools that we're giving you now, and then when they are teenagers, they'll already know these things, and this will just be how your family operates.
Yeah,
which is such a cool thing.
Well, and I think we're talked about healthy communication habits, and this kind of goes along with what Lysandra was saying before. Is certain rules of how we deal with things, and not name calling is one of those things. You want to expound upon that a little bit?
Yeah, like you mean just like teaching young
some
kids.
of the things that not necessarily young kids. Like
you're saying
these
like
are what our rules are.
What our rules of war are. Yeah. So no name calling, no yelling, using I feel statements rather than accusations, and then also oh man, I lost it. I was gonna say something and it's gone. I was in the middle of a list. Oh goodness. I had one that was like really important too, babe.
Well, apparently it wasn't that important.
I'm very distracted right now for some reason.
Yeah, you're probably checking out the slug.
The
see
slug
where
is
it went.
gone. I don't, and maybe that's what it is.
It went from that window pane to that window pane, and now it's gone.
Disappeared. Do they fly?
No.
I didn't think so. But yeah.
Not us a bird game and picked it up.
Yeah. Of course, no swearing would be one of our rules of war. But even with the name calling and stuff, just not saying like you're always this or you're never that. With little kids, it could be, just teaching them all these little things, but at their level, addressing one issue at a time. And Thomas talked about that. Not bringing up unrelated frustrations from the past. So you do bring up things from the past if it's a pattern that you're still working on.
Right. If it's related, then it's fair game.
Then it's current.
Yeah.
It's current. But if it's like off the wall and just another thing that makes you mad about that person, then it should be off the table till the next family meeting. I like this idea too of using observation instead of accusation, right? So you don't just say like, you're irresponsible. You might say something like, I noticed that your job is to take out the trash and it wasn't taken out 3 different times this week. And then instead of like accusing them of being like, you're not doing your job, you don't care about this house, you don't respect me, rather try something like, I want to understand why you're not taking out the trash. Is it because you're too busy? Do you not care? And I'll do this oftentimes with my girls. I'll ask them like 3 or 4, maybe 5 questions, like, out of these multiple choice, which one is it that you're not doing the thing I've told you to do? I'm trying to understand. Do you feel like it's unfair for you to have to take out the trash? And oftentimes it might be none of the things I give. It could be something completely different. More often than not, it's I forgot. And then it's like, okay, well, you can't forget. If you are forgetting, it's because you're not making it important. And it needs to be important because I've told you to do it. So, you're not saying like you're lazy. You're saying, why? Explain to me why you haven't been doing this chore that you know is your job. But anything that's below the belt should be off limits. So we have things in our home that like you are not allowed to tease me about. It's off limits. We joke, we're sarcastic all the time. But there are things, they always say that in sarcasm, there's always a bit of truth. Mm-hmm. And that may or may not be true, but I'm okay if there's a little bit of truth about things that that don't really hurt my feelings, right? Like, there's truth to the fact that I can't spell, as we learned in last episode. I don't care that I can't spell. I'll use spell check. It doesn't really matter. So you can tease me about not being able to spell. But I don't think it's funny when you tease me that I'm fat. Because that's not funny to me. That really hurts my feelings, and I already have issues with that. So you can't tease me about that. So my kids are never going to be like, oh, mom's so fat. Like Thomas is never going to tease about that, right? So those things are also off limits in conflict resolution. You're never going to use the things that hurt my feelings to win the fight or to get through a battle or whatever. So just think about the rules of war and what do they need to be in your home. I've given you some suggestions. We have an episode on conflict resolution. We have 2 chapters in Happily Never After about conflict resolution. So we do have resources for you to help you make your rules of war, but we do encourage you to have those set up in your home so the whole family knows it. That way, when you move into these family meetings, there are things that are off limits that no one's going to be able to do.
Well, and you make statements like, and you mentioned that, I'll just bring back up the one where you said you're irresponsible. Mm-hmm. Not saying that. Because first of all, it's most likely not true.
Not across the board.
Right. They might have an area of their life that they have a hard time with certain things, doing certain things, or following through with certain things. But in reality, that's not totally true because there are plenty of areas in their life where they are being responsible and they are following through and working hard. And so it's an untruth. And here's what happens. They start to internalize this thing that's not true. And they start to use that as an excuse for not doing certain things. Where it's like, I'm just irresponsible. Mm-hmm. Like that's just who I am. And so we need to make sure we're being truthful and specific in what we're talking about. So instead of just a blanket statement like you're irresponsible, deal with whatever the issue is at hand, whether that's the trash or homework or whatever else.
So you might want to say, like, you are very responsible. Every day you get up on time and you're out the door and you're at work on time. And that is super responsible. But you're being very irresponsible with your homework. You're not getting your assignments in on time, and that is irresponsible. You're not calling them irresponsible, but this thing that you're doing over here is irresponsible. And maybe also pointing out the areas where they're doing a good job at the same time.
Another thing that's very helpful in these conversations is reflecting before responding. So this lets them know that you are listening, that you are hearing what they're saying, that your main goal in this is understanding what they're saying, what they're trying to communicate. And so it's something as simple as what I hear you saying is, and then repeating what they've told you can dramatically reduce defensiveness. And it gives them an opportunity to say, yes, that's exactly what I mean, or no, that's not what I mean, and they get a chance to clarify. But that little shift from it's about them and you hearing them versus it's about you and you defending yourself.
Also, scheduling meetings proactively is really important. You should not have family meetings that only happen when there's bad news or a crisis.
Yeah, and they're like, what's happened now? Mom's calling a family meeting. Dad's calling a family meeting.
Kids have literally said that to us before.
Yeah, who's getting divorced? What's happened? Who's leaving the church?
Yep, we're like, oh, stop it.
Where are we moving to next?
Right. And then there are times when we're like, we just want to talk about family vacation. Oh.
Which is funny because we have family meetings all the time. And there's still times where it's like, if we call a meeting that's not at 7 a.m., they're like, what's going on?
Yeah. Who's in trouble? So it is important to have family meetings that just happen on the regular, where it's like, nobody's in trouble. There's no crisis. We're just hanging out. We're just talking. Or maybe it's like, call a family meeting to share good news. Have you ever thought about calling a family meeting to be like, I'm really proud of you guys and I wanted to tell you about it? So have some family meetings that are more like just on the schedule. They just happen regularly.
Yeah. And then you want to end with reassurance. Conflict feels safer when people know the relationship itself is secure. And so we need to make sure our kids know there's nothing wrong with conflict itself. Conflict is going to happen, and we need to learn how to deal with it, how to resolve it, and we need to reassure them as the conversation closes that, hey, our relationship is fine. Everything's good. Simple statements can make a big difference. We're on the same team. So it's not me against you. It's, hey, we're fighting for our family relationships. We may disagree, but we care about each other. See, it's like, because some things we may not see eye to eye. Mm-hmm. Your daughter may not see eye to eye on the conversation and your point of view of what you expect out of them or want them to do or out of their life or whatever else.
One thing that I have tried to tell my girls is like, it's okay to disagree with me. You are allowed to disagree with me.
Now, you need to mean that if you actually say that.
Yeah, exactly. And like, there's one daughter who, if she disagrees with me, she'll just be like, fine. And I'm like, no, not fine. You obviously don't agree with what I'm saying. Share your side. I want to hear from you. What do you actually think? No. I'm like, no, we're not going to do this. You are going to tell me what you think because it's okay to disagree. And I need her to disagree with me to prove to her that it is okay for her to disagree with me. And so then I will coax her into saying the thing that she disagrees. And I'm like, okay, that is a fair point. You still have to obey, but I see what you're saying. And I get it. And it's okay. You can have that opinion. You do not have to agree with me. You have to do what, you're told under this roof. But you're allowed to disagree. Absolutely. And there are times where they may convince me and I may be like, you know what? I think you're right. I think I agree with you. And I was wrong about what I said or what I thought. So we're going to change. And I think that's really good to have a family where people are allowed to disagree.
Yeah. And I like this statement too. We're trying to understand each other better because that's what it's really all about. It's about understanding where each of us is coming from, and it's only then can you really deal with things and resolve issues.
And there's another phrase that your kids need to hear you say in a family meeting or your spouse, and that is, I still love you the same as I always have.
Yeah.
I respect you the same as I always have. None of this disagreement, whatever, it has not changed how I feel about you. I love you. And I'm so glad I'm your mom. I'm so glad I'm your dad. I'm so glad I'm your wife, your husband, whatever it may be. Let's look at the Bible and see exactly how we can learn about family meetings and talking to one another and getting through some of these emotionally charged conversations. Because we want to have wisdom. We want to have gentleness and patience and self-control. We don't want our family meetings to just be like this out of control thing where everybody's flying off the handle.
Yeah.
You never listen to me. You always think like that's not productive.
Well, and it's like I was saying a little while ago about intensity.
Yeah.
Like intensity doesn't always prove sincerity. Mm-hmm. Just because you raise your voice doesn't mean that what you're saying is the right thing.
Absolutely. Okay. So I love this verse in Proverbs 15, verse 1. A soft answer turns away wrath, but harsh words stir up anger. So think about what you're saying in your family meetings and how you're saying them. It is so important that we as parents are the ones leading and modeling this. However you operate in your family meetings is how you will see your children operate. It's a given. It will happen. You have got to model it. So building that environment where the whole family feels secure enough to be honest, respected enough to be heard, and valued even during conflict or difficult conversations. Soft answers, kind words, not stirring the pot. Thomas loves stirring the pot.
Yeah.
But that's usually in a joking way, not on purpose.
And so, you think about taking that scripture and applying it practically, developing and cultivating a safe atmosphere for family members to be honest and communicative. And just like the verse says, learning to respond calmly is so important. We often are concerned with being correct. Now, we want to be correct in what we say, but we need to make sure that we're doing it in a calm manner. Because the thing is, like, people open up more when they feel emotionally safe.
Yeah.
And that's true of all relationships, whether you're talking about marriage or just dealing with your kids or your kids having conversations with you. If they don't feel emotionally safe, then they're not going to open up to you.
Right. And a calm response lowers that defensiveness and it keeps conversations from escalating. It proves to them you're safe with me. And this is especially important when someone admits something that they've done wrong. Maybe they admit a mistake, a failure. Maybe they admit that they disagree or they admit that they're afraid of something or whatever. And when you go into these conversations, if you can keep that calm response, it will help them to continue to come back to them, to continue to talk about things.
Well, and kind of building upon some of the things that we've already talked about, we need to make listening more important than winning. And this should be just an atmosphere in your family meetings. Like when we gather together, we want to listen to each other. It's not about winning an argument or winning people to your side of the story or whatever else. It's about really listening to understand each other. A lot of conversations shut down just because people feel interrupted, corrected, or dismissed too quickly. So one of the things that we need to do is let people finish speaking. I know what they're saying maybe stirs up an emotional response in you. What your kids are saying, what their brother or sister might say, what you say to them. But we need to teach them that, hey, we let people finish. You'll have your chance to talk and get your point across. Let them finish. Ask clarifying questions. Like if something they said doesn't make sense to you or you don't fully understand it, ask a question to clarify what they've said. Reflect back what you've heard so they know that you understand what they're saying. And this is harder for some than others. Looking at Lysander right now.
Uh-oh.
Avoid immediate fixing or lecturing.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
I disagree with you.
I am sure.
And I'm allowed to disagree.
I'm sure that you do. But this is the thing. Understanding has to come before solutions. If you don't fully understand what they're trying to say or where they're at, you're not going to be able to fix the situation.
Yeah.
So you have to understand first. That should be your primary goal, is to understand the person that you're talking to.
Absolutely. And in these family meetings, we have to normalize emotions without surrendering to them. So like, it's okay for you to feel this way, but it doesn't mean you can act this way. So you acknowledge their feelings, but you still guide their behavior. I can see you're frustrated and it's okay to be upset, but we're going to talk about it respectfully. You are not going to speak that way to me or to your brother. You are going to be kind. It's okay to be upset.
Yeah.
You have every right to have the feelings you're feeling, but you cannot speak to them that way, or you cannot do that. You cannot throw their precious thing across the room. That's not okay. So just talking about those emotions and everything, and that they can be there, they can be real, but they cannot control you.
And another thing to do is create regular spaces for conversations. We've talked about having family meetings regularly, not just when something major is happening. But think about open communication rarely happens accidentally. It's on purpose.
Right.
And just developing some simple rhythms will help with this. Because then you're dealing with things quickly as they come up, and people aren't holding on to things for a long time. Which can, build up pressure and then, of course, cause over-the-top reactions because they've been holding on to things maybe for longer than they should. So some of those rhythms are things like family dinners without phones, where we're just like communicating with each other. Present.
We have been out to dinner multiple times with our kids where we will look across the restaurant and see a family sitting together. Every single person is on their phone. There is zero interaction. Like, I'm not talking about, like, you know how you're talking and laughing and stuff, and then somebody's showing someone else a meme and you're like, okay. But I'm talking about where, like, every single person in the family has their head down, looking at their phone, totally not interacting at all. And if we would simply say, like, whenever we do have time to have a meal together, we're not going to have our phones, even if that's out to eat or if it's at home. And I mean, you don't have to be rigid. Maybe you want to be rigid about this, but you could be somewhere in between, right? Where it's like, okay, guys, put the phones down. But if you need to talk about the calendar, you can pick it back up. If you want to share a meme and pass it around, okay, you can do that. If you want to be on the same text thread, sitting at the table, talking and laughing in the text thread, to me, that's okay. You're still interacting and connecting with your phones in your hand. So think about what you need it to be for your family. It could be no phones allowed and the phones are in the other room, or we leave the phones in the car when we go into the restaurant.
I like the idea of no phones at the dinner table.
Yeah, even if it could be interacting and stuff. Because, like, in our family meetings, it's not real practical to have zero phones, because a lot of our family meetings is discussing
logistical stuff.
Yeah, schedules, who's going to take who where, that kind of stuff. But meals, we can get through a meal with zero phone interaction at all.
Yeah.
It is true.
So family dinners without phones, evening check-ins, like simple things is like how was your day? Maybe you're all out walking the dog together or something like that.
Yeah, which we love that.
At least weekly family meetings, if not more. We like our coffee time. That's what works best for us.
Which is daily.
One-on-one time with your children as often as possible. Now, the more kids you have, the harder that is.
Amen.
We've got friends who have like 7 children or 9 children. Like, that gets a little more difficult, but you can grab a few minutes here and there with each kid. You can still do
it. It's possible.
Car conversations.
Yeah, turning the radio off, turning the music off.
Well, I don't know about that, but
turning it down?
Maybe in between songs.
In between songs? Yeah, there's no time in between songs.
Prayer together.
Like
just having time to pray together. And so what you're doing is you're creating these regular connections that conversation can naturally happen.
Yeah.
And so there's more opportunities to deal with things. And this kind of leads into the next thing Sandra's going to share with us.
Which is repairing conflict as quickly as possible, right? And we've talked about having to postpone it and whatnot. But you've got to help your kids to understand that emotional safety is not the absence of mistakes. It's the presence of repair. So, like, you can make a mistake in our home. And this was something that's been really heavy on my heart lately, is like, we have to be allowed to make mistakes. Me as a mom, I have to be allowed to make mistakes. Dad has to be allowed to make mistakes. My kids have to be allowed to make mistakes, because we are human and we will. So, like, it's so unfair of people to expect us to never mess up, to never drop the ball. It's like, we have to be allowed to make mistakes. And so understanding, like, make sure that your kids and your spouse understands that if you make a mistake, that's okay. I need you to apologize. I need you to own it.
Right. Yeah.
I need you to try not to do that same thing again and again and again. And I'm going to forgive, and I'm going to get over it, and I'm going to let it go. And when you do this in your family regularly, then everyone lives in less fear and anxiety. I think about like a little dog who knows every time he makes a little bark is going to get slapped. That dog lives in terror and fear all the time. So don't be like that. Like, that's what you're going to create in your home with not only your spouse, but your kids too.
And another thing here is be predictable emotionally. So we need to model this ourselves. Unpredictable reactions make people guarded. If they don't know what to expect, they're not going to open up to you. When family members know they're going to be heard and not humiliated, anger will stay controlled. Conflict will not become personal. And so they become more honest and open. So make sure that you're being predictable.
Yeah, consistency is really important. And celebrate honesty too. When someone tells the truth about a failure or struggle, rather than being like, well, you did it again or whatever, like right away you need to be like, thank you for sharing. I'm really proud of you. And that's one thing that we implement in our connection groups for our church. When someone shares something that's honest, they share something vulnerable, we always thank them for that.
Yeah.
Thank you for being so honest with all of us. That was amazing. Because we want to celebrate that, and we want to encourage it for other people too. Because if honesty leads to harshness, people learn to conceal. Like, that's what happens in cults. Like that. And it's not like, oh, these people are so healthy because nobody ever does anything wrong. No, they all do things that are wrong, and they're just hiding it. It's super unhealthy.
Yeah.
So the family needs to be celebrated for telling the truth, even if the truth is, I messed up.
Yep, you're exactly right.
Thank you. I can't hear it enough.
And you hear it all the time. You have to model the communication you want.
Yep.
Children and spouses often imitate the emotional tone that is repeatedly modeled in the home. So we want to model things like humility, gentleness, confession. Think about Scripture tells us to confess our faults one to another. Patience, self-control, which is one of the fruit of the Spirit, empathy. These things are more important than perfection because we're not perfect.
Yeah.
We're not going to be this side of heaven. So we need to do our best to model the things that we want to see.
Yeah, we're not even shooting for perfection. Like, that's not even the goal. The perfection is growth. Or the goal is growth.
That
the goal
leads
is
to
not
perfection.
The goal is not perfection. And then keeping this verse in mind, it may be good to have this posted in the place where you have your family meetings. Let no corrupt communication come out of your mouths, but only that which is good for building up. So like, these family meetings are not about tearing each other down. They are about building up, and every word and every way that every word comes out of our mouth is going to be constructive. It is not going to tear your family down.
Well, and a couple of verses later is our family verse in Ephesians 4:32. Be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another. And this is so important when it comes to how you interact with each other. And if you can make literally just these three things kind of your rules for how you have family meetings, they will be a lot better. Think about that. First of all, just be kind to one another. So that's going to dictate how we talk to each other, the tone, the words that we use, all of that. Tender-hearted, right? I'm not going to be hard-hearted. My heart is going to be open and tender to you and what you're trying to tell me. And so that means I'm going to listen to understand, not to interrupt, not to try to defend myself. And then the third thing there, forgiving one another and being ready to offer forgiveness and seek forgiveness myself. We all make mistakes, as we've talked about. None of us are perfect, so that means there's times I'm going to have to apologize for what I've done. And that also means there's times where somebody does something to me, I need to forgive. So literally think about those three things, and it's the reason why this is our family verse. Be kind to one another, be tender-hearted, forgive each other.
You guys, emotional safety grows slowly. The repeated and consistent moments of trust, gentleness, honesty, repairing conflict. Small, consistent interactions often will shape a home much faster than occasional big conversations.
Yeah.
It's about the small, consistent things that you do in your home. That's what's building the culture of your family.
And healthy communication in your family doesn't happen automatically. It has to be intentionally built. If your family conversations often end in tension instead of connection, don't be afraid you're a terrible parent, okay? You are. Don't be afraid of it.
No, he's kidding.
Help your family use practical tools to communicate with more peace, clarity, and trust. It is a discipleship process in teaching your kids how to communicate with each other. And that takes time. It doesn't just happen automatically. So you've got to equip them with the tools that you want them to have.
Mm-hmm. And if you want a bonus resource, we have that for you. It's called Healthy Family Communications Guide. And all you have to do is email that to info@familymeeting.org, and we will send it to you for free.
So here's what we're going to do. Family meeting this week is you're going to have a conversation about any unresolved issues that you have going on in your family right now. Are the things that need to be dealt with? Now's the time to deal with it, and use this opportunity to talk about how to have proper communication with each other, how to listen, to understand all these things that we've talked about, the rules of war and all of that. You're going to start this week, start tonight, to equip them with the tools to have great communication with each other.
Thank you for joining us today. Please go and subscribe to the Family Meeting Podcast from your favorite podcast provider. And if you found today's information helpful, please share this episode on your social media and invite your friends and family to listen in with you.
To find more content and information Lysandra and I provide, you can go to our website, familymeeting.org, or email us at info@familymeeting.org. If you'd like to shoot us a text or call us, you can send a voice message at 904-257-3062.
And you are invited to join us for our next family meeting, because we are going to discuss what your spouse feels like they are competing for your time, for your attention, for your connection. What are they competing with, or what do they feel they're competing with?
Thanks for joining us today for this family meeting. Have a great week, everybody. This meeting is adjourned.
All right.
It was so funny because as soon as I glanced up and saw the slug was there, I was like, oh, Lord, she is going to lose it.
And then I lost it.
And I was watching you talk, and then all of a sudden I saw your eyes like see it.
And then you also saw me lose my train of thought.
Yeah.
But you know what I was also thinking is he knows I'm looking at the slug.
I did too.
And so like my thought was also like, he's going to accuse me of not paying attention. By then I was like, what am I talking about?
Exactly. I knew it. I saw it. I saw the slug. I looked over. I saw you see it. And it was just like, okay, this is going to happen.
Poor little slugger.
Yeah. No, not slugger.
Poor little slugger.
This is where we need your help. What do we name the slug? What's a great slug name?
It's very fat. We have to give some context. He's very fat. He's about this big. He has 2 little antennae, and he moves very slowly.
I mean, he moved pretty quick for a slug.
Okay, so maybe he is fast for a slug.
Like he was over there, and then all of a sudden I looked over and he was on that window.
And then he was gone.
Yeah.
So maybe he's like, the slugger, the great.
But my vote's like, Stefan. Stefan the slug.
No,
I think
it's
that
not right.
goes great.
It's too fancy. He doesn't seem fancy at all.
No, he's very fancy. He had a little top hat on.
He did not.
You love that, though.
I would love to have a slug with a top hat. I'm not going to lie. And like a little cane. But
he doesn't have anything to hold a cane.
I know. Well, he's got a lot of grippers. You could have multiple teeny tiny canes.
No.
This got weird. Listen, you guys, tell us, would be super fun if everybody shared like the worst family meeting they had, where it was just like a dumpster fire, where everything hit the fan, everybody was mad, maybe you had people storming out. Like, we're not celebrating that, but we're definitely into hearing the tea.
We're kind of helping each other feel better about our own situations. Like, we're in this together.
Mm-hmm. Like, everybody's had a bad family meeting.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us this week, you guys. We will see you right here, same time, same place, next week. Have a great one.